I never thought a wood pellet delivery would turn into the most dramatic winter showdown of my life. But then again, I had never dealt with Brenda Crestmore before. The whole mess started on a Tuesday morning in late January when I watched from my kitchen window as my monthly wood pellet delivery truck pulled up to my driveway in our planned community of Meadowbrook Estates, just outside Burlington, Vermont. The temperature had dropped to -12 degrees overnight, and my pellet stove was running low. I had maybe 2 days' worth of fuel left, which in this kind of cold meant I needed those pellets desperately. My name is Aaron Novick, and I had lived in this neighborhood for 3 years without any real problems until Brenda became HOA president 6 months ago. The delivery driver, a guy named Tom who had been bringing my pellets for over a year now, hopped out of his truck and started walking toward my front door. Before he could even knock, I saw Brenda's silver Lexus screech to a halt right behind the delivery truck, blocking it in. She jumped out wearing her typical uniform of expensive athletic, wear that had never seen a gym. Her highlighted blonde hair pulled back so tight it looked painful, and her phone already raised like a weapon. I opened my door just as Brenda started her assault. "Excuse me, sir, but you cannot make this delivery." Tom looked confused, glancing between Brenda and me. "Madam, I have a scheduled delivery for Aaron Novick at this address." "I don't care what your schedule says," Brenda snapped, her voice hitting that particular pitch that made dogs bark 3 streets over. "This is a violation of HOA Regulations Section 12.7, subsection B. All bulk deliveries must be pre-approved 72 hours in advance and can only occur between the hours of 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. on Wednesdays or Saturdays." I walked down my driveway, my breath forming clouds in the frigid air. "Brenda, that rule was for construction materials and moving trucks. It has nothing to do with regular deliveries." She spun toward me, her eyes narrowing. "A bulk wood pellet delivery absolutely qualifies as construction materials. Those are 50-pound bags being delivered in quantity." "They're heating fuel," I said, trying to keep my voice level. "Just like if someone got an oil delivery or propane, this is essential for heating my home." "Then you should have planned better and submitted the proper paperwork." Brenda crossed her arms, positioning herself between Tom and his truck. "I'm the HOA president and I'm telling you this delivery cannot proceed." Tom looked at me helplessly. "Look, I've got 6 more stops today and I'm already running behind because of the weather. Can you two work this out?" "There's nothing to work out," I said firmly. "Brenda, you're being ridiculous. It's -12 degrees and I need this fuel to heat my house." "Should have thought of that before you violated HOA regulations." She turned back to Tom. "If you proceed with this delivery, I'll have your company cited for trespassing and file a complaint with your employer." I pulled out my phone. "I'm looking at the HOA regulations right now, Brenda. Section 12.7 specifically mentions construction equipment, building materials for renovation projects, and moving services. Heating fuel is explicitly excluded. It says right here that necessary utility services, including but not limited to heating fuel, propane, oil, and firewood deliveries, are permitted at any reasonable hour." Brenda's face flushed red. "I'm the president and I'm interpreting the rules as they apply. Your interpretation is incorrect." "My interpretation is what's actually written in the bylaws that we all signed." She pulled out her own phone and started taking pictures of the truck, Tom, and my house. "This will be documented. You'll be receiving a fine of $500 for this violation, Aaron. And your company," she pointed at Tom, "will be banned from entering Meadowbrook Estates." Tom held up his hands. "Lady, I just deliver pellets. I don't need this kind of trouble." He looked at me apologetically. "I'm sorry, man, but I can't deal with crazy HOA stuff. I'll have to come back another time when you get this sorted out." "Tom, please," I said, feeling desperate. "I really need those pellets. My stove is almost empty." But Tom was already climbing back into his truck. Brenda moved her Lexus with a satisfied expression that made me want to scream. As Tom's truck rumbled away, my heating fuel disappearing down the snow-covered street, Brenda turned to me with a triumphant smile. "Next time, follow the rules, Aaron. This neighborhood has standards and I intend to enforce them." She walked back to her Lexus, adding over her shoulder, "You'll have the fine notice by end of day." I stood in my driveway, watching my breath crystallize in the air, anger boiling through my veins. This was insane. I had never missed a payment, always kept my property immaculate, and followed every legitimate rule. But Brenda had been on a power trip since the day she took over as HOA president. She had fined the Martinez family for having their trash cans visible from the street 15 minutes before collection time. She had sent violation notices to elderly Mrs. Patterson for having a welcome mat that was beige instead of the approved brown or gray tones. She had tried to ban the neighborhood kids from playing basketball in their own driveways because the sound was disturbing. Back inside my house, I called the Pellet company. The woman who answered was sympathetic but firm. "I'm sorry, Mr. Novick, but Tom noted in the system that there's an HOA dispute. We can't send a driver back until you provide written documentation that the delivery is approved." "Can I just come pick them up myself?" I asked. "Our retail location is in Montpelier, and we're actually sold out of the grade you need. We won't have more stock until Friday at the earliest. The demand has been crazy with this cold snap." I hung up and immediately started calling other suppliers. 3 hours and a dozen phone calls later, I had the same answer from everyone. The extreme cold had created a run on wood pellets throughout northern Vermont. Nobody had my specific pellet grade in stock, and even the alternatives were backordered. The earliest I could get any pellets delivered was the following Tuesday, 6 days away. I checked my pellet hopper. At the rate my stove was burning to keep my house at a reasonable temperature, I had maybe 48 hours of fuel left, probably less if the temperature dropped any further. I tried adjusting the thermostat down to 60 degrees, put on extra layers, and started researching emergency heating options. My neighbor, Jeff Whitmore, came over that evening after he got home from work. "Hey, I saw the commotion this morning. Brenda at it again." I explained the situation while we sat in my living room, the pellet stove humming steadily as it burned through my dwindling fuel supply. Jeff shook his head in disgust. "That woman is absolutely unhinged. Last week she told me my front door wreath was too large. Said it violated the decoration size limits. It's a standard 24-inch wreath, Aaron, normal sized." "I don't know what to do," I admitted. "I can't get pellets anywhere. Everything is sold out because of the cold." "What about space heaters?" "That's my backup plan, but this is a 3-bedroom house. It'll cost me a fortune in electricity, and I'm not even sure the electrical system can handle running multiple space heaters constantly." Jeff thought for a moment. "You know what's ironic? Brenda has a pellet stove too. I saw it when I had to drop off some HOA documents at her place a few months ago. Big fancy one in her living room. Something clicked in my mind. She has a pellet stove. Yeah, one of those expensive models. She was bragging about how efficient it was, how much money she was saving on heating costs. I felt a mixture of anger and bitter amusement. Brenda had blocked my heating fuel delivery while she was presumably sitting in her warm house, heated by the exact same type of stove she was preventing me from fueling. The next morning, I received the official violation notice in my email. $500 for unauthorized bulk delivery attempt. The notice cited Section 12.7, subsection B, exactly as Brenda had quoted, but completely ignore.